All eyes are, though, on the Florida coastline as Hurricane Milton barrels toward the state, bringing life-threatening winds, and storm surge is expected to make landfall tomorrow evening. The Category 5 storm, upgraded from a Category 1 in less than 24 hours, has put more than 50 counties under a state of emergency. Residents are scrambling to evacuate in what's being described as Florida's largest evacuation effort since Hurricane Irma 7 years ago. Now Milton is set to hammer communities still recovering from last week's Hurricane Helene, which left parts of the Gulf Coast devastated and resulted in over 200 fatalities across the Southeast. So while residents brace for another catastrophic storm, they also have to battle now corporate greed, with companies like American Airlines being accused of price gouging. Ridiculous at a time like this. This is something that Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, or as Trump would say,
boot edge, as you say, boot edge.
Why would he say that?
Boot edge, as you say, boot edge.
He responded to these claims of price gouging, saying the Department of Transportation takes all allegations of airline price gouging seriously. We are keeping a close eye on flights in and out of areas affected by Hurricane Milton to make sure airlines are not charging excessively increasing fares. But that's not all. That just seems to be the start of the political storms that have already made landfall. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is being called out for reportedly refusing to take a phone call from Vice President Kamala Harris to discuss storm recovery efforts. DeSantis claims he never received the call, while his aides suggest that Harris's outreach was quote-unquote political. Kamala fired back, saying moments of crisis demand putting people first and not political posturing.
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games at this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations. It's just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Madam Vice President. I had to use a ton of sound removal for that because she was in front of like an airplane and it was going off. So I was like, through that caption up there. But her point remains. DeSantis, though, came back very angry, angry as hell that Kamala would even think to check in and see how he's doing. How dare her?
For Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No. And here's the thing. She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games. And so she is being selfish by trying to blunder into this when we're working just fine.
What an asshole. She's being, I'm not selfish. You're selfish for saying that I'm selfish because you decided that you wanted to help me now. You didn't want to help me the last time. Are we seeing a failure of bipartisanship cooperation, or is DeSantis just taking the chance to spit in Kamala's eye when he really has nothing to lose?
Is it her job to call him during this time?
No,
he said he was
not
in contact
necessarily.
with the president. So isn't that all he needs to get signed off on the funding and everything else?
Yeah,
Like, why-
but Kamala was on The View. Dex, did you see when Kamala was on The View today? She said that.
Yeah.
Well, she said that he's not the only Republican governor that she's called. Like, and those other governors have answered the call, picked up, and have had a nice conversation with her. So she doesn't understand why he's making.
What was the result of those conversations?
She said it was a nice conversation.
Yeah,
About
but like
what?
what else though? Like, did you do anything?
I mean, I don't know.
And like also like this, there's criticism that I think that we've had on this show about her before, and she's doubled down on this recently by saying like, I'm gonna have a Republican in my cabinet. Of course I will. Like I'm open to that kind of stuff. And it's just like, maybe you shouldn't be, and maybe you shouldn't be saying this because like look what they're doing to you. Like you're talking about, I'm giving
one,
you,
like she's saying, she's had successful conversations with other ones.
yeah, but look what you're saying that, but they're not saying that. Nobody's come out and said like, oh, she called me and it was a successful conversation, or something was accomplished. He literally is coming out and saying that you're politicizing this, and like you look bad, to be honest with you. He looks crazy, but like when he puts it out there, like I've already talked to the president. Like, why am I talking to you? If I talk to the principal, the vice principal doesn't need to call my phone.
I also found it rich that he's complaining and saying that he doesn't have time for any political posturing while literally giving an interview on Fox News. Because what is that going to accomplish? Like, how is that saving life? You giving an interview on Fox News about anything? You know, so it's funny he wasted time to have this whole diatribe for 2 minutes about how selfish Kamala was and how he's not going to give into the political posturing while literally giving into the political posturing.
You didn't have to come out and publicly say this.
In this particular situation, it really feels like they're doing the same thing.
Yes,
like
they
he's getting on there being an asshole, and she's getting on there calling him. If she's never called for the other, if he's like telling the truth, and she's never called for the other disasters, and I really don't want her to call now. That she's running because she's still the vice president right now. And
yeah, but it's a historic storm, like being reported. Like they say this is the 4th fastest hurricane in recorded history.
And so I still ask the question, and again, I'm on her side, right? I want her to win.
Are you sure?
But that doesn't mean you know how we are. We don't blindly support our people. So I'm asking the question. It's a very simple question. What was the purpose of her phone call? Just to see if he's okay.
To check in. Do you need anything? Is there anything that I can do for you?
What resources can she deploy that the president hasn't already done if he's already spoken?
Well, maybe she can give an additional message to the one that he's already given the president if he thought about something after he's hung up the phone. Like there's more than
these are people that don't like you. So
I mean, in that aspect, he can't call Joe Biden back, be like, oh, I forgot something.
It's a courtesy call. You can't have are we condemning courtesy calls now? Is that what America's coming?
I'm not giving you a courtesy call. Like you, I'm not calling you again and talking to you during a campaign when I know that the Republicans are going to twist and turn every single thing I do. I just don't think it was the right move. Like, why am I calling these people if Joe Biden has already done it? Like,
okay, if she becomes president, she wants to feel like she has a respectable relationship with her, because that's something that Dex has also reiterated that she said that she wants to do. She wants to be more bipartisan than Joe Biden.
They're calling this a political this and that.
That's what they're framing it as,
and people are really feeling that that's happening, and she should have known that.
But you know what? Honestly, this wouldn't have been a story if he just would have picked up the phone. Like, honestly, we would have never known she called. So she would have never even gotten points for the other times that she's called, or the other times she hasn't called, or times she's called other governors and they picked up. Because this never would have been a story if he just would have picked up.
My point is, she knows the people she's dealing with. So why is she doing things that she knows she knows what they're gonna like? Even I know, like, if she would have called me and said, hey, I'm thinking about calling DeSantis, how do you think that's gonna go? I'm like, he's going to not pick up the phone, and he's going to jump on Fox News and hang you out to dry like an asshole.
I think that initially when I saw this story, like it was framed that like he ignored her call and like he ignored aid for the people in Florida. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, that is insane. But then when you hear him speak out and he's like, no, I've talked to the president already. This was unnecessary. Then it actually does come across very unnecessary for her to give a call. I do understand that she may be the president, so she should potentially like, check on him or whatever. But like, you're not the president. You don't need to do that. And guess who else didn't do that, seemingly? Donald Trump didn't do it. Like, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, why did you stick your neck out in somebody he's actually supporting?
I mean, well, she's actually in an official role. Donald Trump isn't.
Yes, but like right now, you're just a person running for VP. I mean, you're running for president.
She is a VP.
Yes, you are the VP, but you're running for president. The president's already handled this.
She has powers and she has connections where she can make things happen.
So you think it was necessary for her to call him?
Regarding the impact that she could have.
You think it was necessary for her to call him?
I don't know if it's necessary, but I don't think there's any way to condemn someone for trying to reach out and see if everything's okay. Like before the biggest hurricane in the last 7 years rocks your state.
Do you think she's politicizing this? Like, do you think she called for a political game?
No. You want to know why I say that? Because she didn't report it when she called. She didn't report it when she called. So the problem was he didn't pick up. The problem was he did not engage with her, and that's the story. If he just would have engaged, this never would have been known. That's my point.
Well, technically, prior to that, if we're doing a chicken, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, it's either what comes first, him not engaging with her or her not picking up the phone and calling. One of those two. If one didn't happen, the other one wouldn't have happened. Just saying.
All right. No, you got a point. I say, both sides. Both sides.
You don't see both sides. Actually, you only see one side. That's the problem here.